He's on the East Coast. He slept in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kick this thing off.
Feels good to hear that music again.
Yeah. Great way to send 2020. You got to do the bad white person dance. Oh, yeah. That music can only mean one thing. It's Bridging Civil Tension with Phil Wallace, entrepreneur, author, just all around good guy. And of course, Deke Jones, founder,
The
CEO,
legend.
bad dancer, right here on New Year Eve, or New Year's apostrophe S Eve, right here, Bridging Civil Tension, the show where we feel what? It's better to meet in the middle of the bridge, have a conversation, shake hands, go each other's way, or walk together, and then not blow it up.
But
we certainly don't want to blow it up, but let's be
no,
honest,
it's not.
a lot of
For that.
bridges have been blown up over
Yeah.
2021. And we hope that you enjoy this show, and we hope that your 2022 there's less tension in 2022 than there was in 2021. Phil, how you been? How was Christmas?
Christmas was fantastic down here in Georgia with my mom and my grandma. Got other family down here. It's been 70 degrees, 65 some days if it gets chilly.
Nice. Yeah, we're only supposed to get 5 inches of snow today, tomorrow. So it's supposed to rain today and then all snow. It's a joy. Gary, happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Gary.
Well, you got about an hour left before the ball drops over there. Jess, good morning. Look who's back. That's right. Whoop, whoop. Feel up. Yeah, we took a couple weeks off. You were doing some work, and we had Christmas, and we said, hey, let's wrap up the year with a great show, or at least another show, and see what's happening. Lots been going on, really. 2021. What's your take? Where are you at? Did we make progress in your eyes to bridge civil tension in America and around the world, or did we get further behind?
I don't think we got further behind. I think there was a drastic step towards. I think it was less consistent violence, less tension. I feel like it kind of dropped down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
After the election, but not blaming any one person for how things went. But I do feel that kind of, after that, tension did drop down some. I still feel like we do have obviously work to do, but yeah. I feel like it went down a notch.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that quote unquote it went down. At least it wasn't reported as much, right? As we've talked about puppet masters and things. Right. I think 2021 did, and of course, I think bridging civil tension helped a lot of people too. Is to listen and think through some things.
Mm-hmm.
Right, instead of just knee jerk reacting, or trying to blow bridges up, right? I think, and I think that's cool that a lot of people that I have talked to, conversations and whatnot, that's the way it's come across. Is a lot of people are now slowing down a little bit, and going, well, hold on, let's take a look at this.
Right. And it's a breath of fresh air to see that, to have people, like you said, inbox or a phone call or a text message, and hey, brother, yes.
Yeah. Little shout out to Natural Therapy Wellness.
Little shout out. I love the bottles on the right side though.
Yeah, that's right. That's coffee.
That's the Natural Therapy. Fireball injecting. But the willingness of people to have conversations, right? To want to sit down, to want to ask questions, to look for safe places where they can have that dialogue that's going to make things better. So, huge to see.
Yeah, it's interesting too that I, I think a lot of people in 2021 have separated um, the Black Lives Matters movement from the Black
Right.
Lives Matter corporation or foundation or whatever it is,
Right.
right? And those are two different things. And
Mhm.
there are people out there, right, who are trying to connect the two, but it's like Kleenex. You call it Kleenex, but Kleenex is a name brand,
Right.
e- even if it's not Kleenex.
Just different brand of nose tissue.
Right,
I'm with you.
right.
I'm
So
with you.
I think that as I've followed a lot of stories and a lot of things this year, and there were a lot of pressing ones, and you know, truthfully, a lot of there's a lot of justice, that we would consider justice in a court of law, that outcomes and things of that nature. And there were some that were questionable, perhaps.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if I'd say a lot of justice. I mean, the number of trials and then the ones that went in that direction. But I'll take wins where I can get them. I'll
Yeah,
take wins where I can get
yeah. The interesting thing, if you follow uh, if you follow a lot of the cases, right? So you and I talked about a little bit, this Ghislaine Maxwell case.
them. Mm-hmm.
You know, here is probably the biggest case to date, just because of what's there, what's at stake.
Right.
This is gross people trafficking children, having sex with children, and we get no coverage of it at all.
None.
None. Yet we have to see every minute of the Rittenhour case, or Rittenhouse, or whatever the hell his name
Right.
is, right? Um,
What
so
was
we
it? Pitcher of the year? Rowan Gardner. Sorry.
right? So we get this, and we watch every minute, yet we only have two or three pictures from this Ghislaine Maxwell case. And then we don't get every minute of the gentleman who was murdered in broad daylight, down there in Georgia,
Ahmaud Arbery. Yeah.
on Aubrey. And yes, that came out. Holy crap, Alex Kolkowski, how are you? Glad to have you. Happy New Year, brother. Um, but here's the funny thing is this one is it just, if it doesn't wake people up and go, wait a minute. I mean, you got to follow the money. There's these high profile people from every walk of life that are in this case, and nothing,
Nothing.
not a minute, not a nothing on it.
Did you see they sealed it?
Oh, I didn't see that.
So there was another tweet, and I got to show this because this is like sick. It's like 8 pages of Democratic leader, blah, 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 found with child porn. Republican leader for this state, found with child porn. It's like all these people who are going to be associated. And they sealed it. So once it's sealed, you can't reopen this evidence to convict these people.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm supposed to have confidence in that judicial system.
And listen, if that doesn't irritate you, it should. This should fire up a lot of people, and go, wait a minute, what is happening? This is absolutely insane.
Like I don't.
All the money.
The CEO of your favorite corporation was found involved.
Yeah.
And we're going to throw this one woman away, which I guess is a win. And thousands of people connected to the trial are good to go and they're safe. It's sealed. We can't even bring this evidence up anymore.
Nothing changes.
Whatever evidence it was, because we didn't even know what was able to be said about them.
Right. Now, you know, you got to start questioning this, America. You got the world. You have
World.
to start. You have to start questioning this and going, what is happening right now? We all knew the outcome of the Rittenhouse trial before it even went to trial.
Right.
I mean, that's just fair to say. We all knew the outcome, right? But we watched every second of it. It was out there. It was on TikTok. It was on everything. Yeah, Yeah, Jessica says, I barely even saw the guilty verdict. Had to really dig. This is the biggest case ever. Yeah, absolutely. Wake up. And that's what's infuriating. And nobody, no news, no nothing. It was never the top story. Why? Because those people were tied to it. I mean, and in the we had several 10, 15 victims, 20 victims who came forward, and they only could stand on 2 or 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just crazy. Alex says if Epstein went to jail for going on a plane to do something on island, and Maxwell went to jail for going on a plane to do something on some island, why aren't the passengers on that plane getting in trouble for doing something? Exactly. But we've sealed it now.
We've sealed it.
Can't get
Now
out.
those people, now all those people are safe on the flight ledger or whatever it is. It shows who traveled with them to go to what they call a pedophile island.
Right.
And we're just gonna say that, hey, they're good. They're good. We can't even bring it up to you anymore. And if we do, we're in trouble for asking you why you were with this 14-year-old woman.
Shayna, how are you? Why are federal courts different from others as far as camera? It's a good question. I don't get it.
I don't get that one at all.
And it was, as we've talked about several times on this show, sleight of hand, right? Look over here while we do
Right.
this over here on the left side, and that's and again, we didn't have to watch the written how we knew what that was going to
Yeah.
be. We knew that verdict before they even went in, right?
I'm sending you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to say the last name just because of the blood trail that goes on there. But
Yeah. I don't want to
Bill
have a
went on a
note.
plane multiple times. But we all know he's a pillar of ethics. Yeah. Right. But that's where again, as Jess says, wake up, folks. I mean, figure this out. It should infuriate you, and nothing's being done, nothing's being said, right? So between this and the voting discrepancies, how can we have hope in the system we are ingrained to believe? So, Phil, did you catch? Did you email that to me or what?
I just texted. I can email it to you if you want me to.
Yeah, email it to me, then I can
Okay.
share it up on screen. Um, the did you watch the Netflix movie Don't Look Up?
I did not. I heard such horrible reviews. I was comically curious, but like people were just dogging it so much that I was like, yeah,
Actually, I think it's pretty good. And
okay,
if you look at it in terms of today instead of the sci-fi type thing that it is, I think this is Hollywood's way of
gotcha.
starting to peel back the onion. I think it's
Okay,
I think it's Hollywood's way of starting to go, uh-oh, a lot of us are named in stuff, so maybe we need to do this. And what I would say, and Gary says, yeah, it's a great movie. It is. And what I would say, instead of a comment, let's just make that a
so
virus.
COVID.
Yeah. So, but it
Ooh,
strongly
okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Poetry snaps.
it strongly suggests how things operate, if I could say that, right? Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Comically curious. Another T-shirt, Shayna. If you're going to have an incredible T-shirt, then we can throw you up on a store here at 21.
Just dropping gems left and right.
Yeah, very interesting. And so I'm watching this with Alice, and I'm actually kind of laughing a little bit. And she's like, "What's so funny?" I go, "This is literally today. This is Hollywood's way of going."
This is what you guys look like.
Yeah. Right. It's a good movie. Netflix always brings news to us through social media. Yeah, they do. They kind of peek it in there, Anna, and say, "Ooh, here you go," which is amazing to me, right? But yeah, if you were to kind of take that look and say, you got to watch it. And here's the other good news that I'll say about 2021 is High on the Hog, one of the best
Ooh.
documentaries out there. New episodes coming, so they're going deeper.
More episodes. They're going
Yeah.
back at. They're
Yep.
going ham like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be great.
Ham.
So,
Ham. No. Okay. Well, just me.
yep. It's cool. So I'm excited about that too, because literally it was one of the best documentaries out there. It's a modern update to Wag the Dog. It is really, and it pushes the envelope real well. But it also, as we're talking about the Ghislaine Maxwell case, Leo is really what happens is right uh, with everything. So as you watch the progression of his character through that movie, you see it to where it ends is to say, hey, here it is, and the end of the world might not be the end of the world, but might be blowing up the system that has been in place. Is a way to look. That's just a way to look at it. It's what
I'm
I don't want to
I'm
be a
digging it.
spoiler, but it's good. And if you go back and watch it and parallel it to the last 2 years, you'll be like,
That
interesting,
would make more sense then.
very interesting. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. It was I thought it was very good. And it is funny. There's some funny pieces at it, and it's got a rich billionaire in it that, well, you just figure it out. You figure it out. I think it'd be good. But
A lot of parallels there then.
a lot of parallels, and you're right. Anna's right. I mean, there's been they leak things through movies and ideas, and you're like, okay, okay, yeah. So I mean, take a look at it. Have fun with it, but it is good. But as we talk about things, and we've talked a lot about race issues on here. I'm going to I don't know if you're a TikToker, Phil. Do you get on
Real
TikTok?
quick,
Yeah.
the 13, the D Jones 13.
Yeah, Deke Jones 13. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Send that there. Are you a TikToker?
I am not. I'm starting to kind of do my research with it. I'll watch a video if it gets shared to me, but I'm not the every quote that I make is a TikTok video.
I can get lost in TikTok for hours.
Can you?
I absolutely love it.
I feel like I'm missing something because I want it to grasp, and I think that with my goofy personality, I should be more than I am, and it's just not clicking like I want
my,
it to.
my Alice was like, because I'll sit there instead of watch TV, I'll watch TikTok, right? Because they're minute clips, or they're 3 minute clips, and sometimes I find it hard to get through the 3 minute clips now, right? Yeah, I literally, so I'm watching on my tablet TikTok, and it's cool because the algorithm is the things that you like is what you get, and I don't ever look at the comments. And I follow a
Right.
lot of comedians and funny people, and it's amazing. And I'm sitting there, and Alice is like, "Why do you do this?" So I hand her my tablet. I go, "This is exactly why I do TikTok," and it's an orangutan drinking hot tea. So you see his lips go like, and then he's like, and then it burned him. So this orangutan then starts blowing on the tea, like, and then he tries again, right? And it's just his face. This is all you're seeing, and I'm laughing. I'm like, look at it. Even this orangutan knows, right? And I go, this is exactly why I watch this stuff. It's great. And I'm laughing, and she's like, you're an idiot. But she goes, then she heard one, and she goes, why aren't you doing this? You're that guy who could do that and get just a ton of people following you
You
doing
could.
this goofy stuff that just who you are. And I'm like, I don't ever think about having my phone out, or when a
Right.
funny thing happens, and you don't want to try to stage it, hey, so but it's, yeah, hours and hours. Yeah, Coach Breeze, like, yep, same can't, yep. So
Guilty.
yeah, guilty, very guilty. So but on there, the reason I ask is it's like, tell me you're white without saying you're white. Right. So
That's an opportunity. What
yeah,
was your favorite one? What was your favorite
you
one?
know, and and it's usually, and it's usually an African American who's like, "Tell me you're white" without saying you're white, or telling me you're white,
Yeah.
and somebody gets on and does something stupid or whatever. Yeah, tell me you're black without telling me you're black. So these things I find are very funny. Now there's several stupid ones out there, right? With bigoted people and whatnot. You're like, scroll through idiots,
Yeah.
I mean, but you'll have that with social media. But I was just, those are funny to me, and when I watch them, I sometimes ask, I go, should this be funny, or should or
Right.
or is this person trying to be a douchebag or whatever? But
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, this is really funny. So and because of this show, I start. I go through that mental process, right?
I saw one of those. But yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Bill. Good morning. Happy New Year. Enjoy the wedding. Tell me you're bald without telling me you're bald. Listen, always wear a hat.
Oh,
That's it.
that's right.
Always wear a hat. But it's funny. Now, should I laugh at those things, Phil, or is it
Yeah. I think
racist?
we've talked about this, right? I think that if it's like the intention of just fun, like how me and you could have fun, black, white, whatever. We've sat at Red Barn and Woodstock and just said everything under the sun
Ah,
that people at different tables are like they're friends,
yeah,
right? And we're laughing till our face hurts because everyone at that table knows that we have love for everyone else at that table. But if it's from a position where I'm trying to make fun of that Kent is old or white, or you're
right,
trying to make fun of that Kent or that Phil is black, like it's not supposed to be that, but like you're supposed to be able to have fun with the differences,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then bring awareness to and then learn about. But if it's just like you're weird because you're different and you suck because so, like, well then like you said, you're a jerk and you should
yeah,
probably go somewhere.
yeah. And I do. I laugh, and but at the same time, I follow people like Richard Pryor,
Right.
and I mean, I still laugh at that, but I do laugh and go, oh, he couldn't get away with that. This,
But like I feel like if we're going to do it towards everybody,
yeah,
cool. Then it's not just one person. But if you only have sarcastic comments or those types of humor comments when it's just
yeah.
against this race, then reflect on yourself, man.
That's it. I love what Alex says. This show fascinates me for one reason. There should be no reason why this show exists. You're right. And that's why we bridge it. And really listen, this all stemmed from um a few years ago. There was a group of guys who did a podcast called Civil Tension. And this podcast was driven by old white guys. The average age was probably 63, right? And so
Politics, huh?
and so they would get together and support each other and this, that, and the third. And I would sit in sometimes and I would be like, hey, let's ask the no,
No.
how about we ask the Mexican, the woman. Oh, okay. So you guys are you guys are figuring out the world's issues with all old crotchety white guys. That's terrific. So when we had the opportunity, we said, "Hey, let's bridge civil tension instead of continually try to fuel the fire."
Right.
And trust me, we've irritated a lot of people with this show. We've pissed a lot of people off, but we've always said, "Let's open up a dialogue." To which no one ever responds.
No response.
so
Doors
so
open. Doors open.
always, right? Now you we're not going to talk about it, but Shayna, I do want you to know I have not read that book. Phil, you've read most of it or gotten
I got
through,
through it.
and I forget the name of it. Something or
Woke racism.
woke racism. And we're going to address that in 2022 because I need to read it as well before we discuss it. But Shayna asked, hey, here's a book to read. So you went through it and you found it interesting,
Yeah,
to say
interesting.
the
Yeah,
least, right?
to say the least.
Yeah,
Uh, I think though going through 2022, I really want to look for things that have a bridge intention.
yeah, yeah,
And uh, if it doesn't have a bridge intention, I can't give it as much energy as far as in
right,
those types of situations.
right,
Um, and even just for myself, making sure that I'm finding stuff that's not only one sided, that's only from one direction. To look for, okay, if this does happen, how could this have been avoided, and try to be the fair side. But What I struggle with, if it's, and maybe to some people, I'm guilty of this myself as far as the appearance wise, that if it's only pointing the finger in one direction, and that's how I felt in that book, right?
Yeah, and that's why I say we'll talk about it probably, in the next in January we'll talk about it
Yeah.
because I got to get through that book because I can't speak on it because I haven't. I mean, I've read the reviews on it, but I haven't read it. Right.
What do the
Uh,
reviews say?
I would have to pull them up.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. But we'll talk about it when we address it. Alex says, I like people that piss people off. If you're not turning heads, you're not doing something right. The reason everyone gets upset is because others are disturbing their complacency and what their goals in life are. But because they are too fearful or worried about their own perception, they will never reach their hand out and seek answers or resolutions, push the envelope. Yeah, no, and
Sure.
that's
Appreciate that, Alex.
and that's the truth. I mean, you're talking about now let's lay the foundation here with Mr. Alex Kolkowski, owner, entrepreneur, Prime Media Consulting, Prime Media, maybe just now, but here's the thing. He's a ginger. He is transparent, and he is in the African American Chamber of Commerce out in California.
Nice.
All right. So so this is a guy. This is a
That's awesome.
who who has stepped out, and that's what his whole business does. And that's why he's saying you gotta disturb people. That has probably felt what you feel at times at other chambers,
Right.
being that, and I mean pasty white. He ain't even freckly, brothers, right?
Wait,
Which is
wait. He's red. He's ginger without freckles.
yeah, well, he
Damn.
has, but he ain't freckly, right?
Oh, okay.
Lord knows, I think some people in certain circles, I have. Oh yeah, always, always. But that's how people, and that's how people learn and stretch and move, and you have
Right.
to be uncomfortable, and you have to get out there. He goes, oh no, man, I got some freckles, bro.
There we go. I was like, hold on, hold on.
You get freckle free,
Is
right? So, but the whole idea is in bridging civil tensions, we try to man, really encourage you to think for
right,
yourself, not just follow along or not just do because it's always been
right,
right. And I think in 2022 we're going to have some tremendous guests on this show who have lived through the struggle to build something and have become very successful in their occupation in their life, but have met the challenge and moved forward, right?
right,
So um, so I think that when we talk about bridging civil tension moving forward in 2022, we're going to continue to talk about the things that irritate people and people are fighting about, but we're also going to be highlighting people who perhaps on that topic have said, "Listen, here's what I did to get through this, and this is how I have
right.
become successful."
This is how I overcome it.
Yeah, yeah. Alex says, I have a whole selfish story in a good way of why I joined the Black Chamber of Commerce. Someday I'll tell you, but it was the best decision I made for myself in the past few years. Uh, I'm the only white dude there. And we will, and we'll get you on this show because we'd love to actually hear that because that takes guts too, and crazy, right? And the only reason that it takes guts is you're uncomfortable. I mean, it's like you said, when I went to Caroline's birthday party, it's like, hey, this is how I feel at every chamber event,
Every chamber event. This is what it's like. One? Anyone?
but there
Anyone?
ain't no
No?
tequila, right? Yeah, right. Which is good. Yeah, it takes guts. Question mark. Isn't that the problem? Yeah, people don't have the testicular fortitude to step out and do what's right, do what they believe in, in fear of judgment from others and the world. Um, and trust me when I say um, there we speak a lot of attention in America, not around the whole world. We're not around the whole world. Are there still slaves? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely in other countries, but they have a different way of life as well and things. I'm not saying that it's right or correct. It's we speak of the tension here in our backyard because that's what we live and that's what we know. As you say, I don't know that my baby got eaten by a boa constrictor because I couldn't make it to the hospital.
Right.
you know, to have the baby.
It's a wild story.
Yeah. So that's a big piece of it. But we're hopeful. We're hopeful that's what we're able to do in 2022. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's see if I can share this. Here's some things you said as we were talking about the Ghislaine Maxwell case. Let me see if
Is
I.
it bad to ruffle feathers though if it's just more so like unintentioned feather ruffling, but it just another person decides to have a closed mind to it? Is it as bad?
Say that again.
Like if it's unintentional feather ruffling, like if I'm just trying to open the dialogue and a person decides to have their feathers ruffled, I
Yeah.
don't think that's as bad.
No, no, I don't think so.
It's not, F your feelings type of feather ruffling, but
Right, right. Um, I think, well, it depends what your intention is behind it, right? So
right.
if I'm doing it to piss you off and get punched in the face, that's one thing. If I'm doing it to piss you off to think, and again, we can bridge that tension and go, okay, I get it, I see it. Thanks. I didn't look at it that way. Never had to look at it that way. Then okay,
Yeah.
you know.
It's just, and then we'll move forward. It's just there's a slogan that says blank 2024 F your feelings. And people will say that, you're wrong for having your feathers ruffled off of a slogan.
Yeah,
Okay. But if you have a conversation about, hey, this is how people are treated, this is not right, this is injustice, this is, double standards and hypocrisy, then when they get their feathers ruffled, they're justified in their feelings, but you shouldn't be justified as far as someone literally saying F your feelings 2024.
yeah. That's sometimes it's better to let people think you're an idiot than to open your mouth and prove it.
This is true.
So,
I just watched.
well, that's what happens when you try to erase genders. Testicular fortitude is no more. I just had to laugh at that. How do we determine if someone else's intent is worthy of one's attention? I love that. I read the book Phil recommended and would like to hear a person of color's opinion. What next book would you recommend with that criteria in mind? So let's start with the first question. How do you determine if someone else's intent is worthy of your attention?
Well, if someone, worthy of my intention, that's just going to be like, are they looking for a solution, right? Going back to the slogan that I just referred to, F your feelings. This person clearly is not looking for a solution. If a book starts, this book is not for them. This book is not to build a bridge. This book is to arm you so that we don't listen to their voodoo. That person's intention on that book isn't to build a bridge. So I can't really give what they're trying to give that much attention because they're not looking to have the dialogue so that I understand where Shayna's coming from or Kent's coming from or whoever else. I'm not looking
Yeah.
for how do we move past you always feel hurt, I always feel this way. So I think when you see, and you can tell, I think in most cases, is this person looking for a solution? Is this person even trying to understand where the other side comes from, or have they already made their mind up? If they already made their mind up, I can't give it as much attention because nothing I say is going to help them.
Yeah. The way that I would how do we determine if someone else's intent is worthy of one's attention is I think you have to spend time with that person, right? Um, I've known a lot of people, as we all have, that you start spending time with, and then you realize,
Right.
not the person that I want to hang out with. But then there's other times where in our life we were like, total douchebag. Then you spent time with them and go, huh, really good person, right? So I think in order for us to determine if someone else's intent is worthy of one's attention is how much time have you spent with them to get to know them, and that's what's wrong with social media today is you're going to throw out a statement. I'm going to assume your intent, but I don't know you,
Right.
and I'm going to assume your intent by the position or the mood that I'm in, right? And say, "Man, I've had a bad day. I'm pissed off. I don't like what you said. I'm gonna throw a bunch of comments in there and blow up the whole world." To what to what Alex says, and he goes, "Listen, I intentionally ruffle feathers. He intentionally does, and he does. And I know his story, and I'm okay with his story because I like what he does. Right? Um, he goes with it or not, it's a different point of view. But from where I found is that people in positions do not want ruffled feathers because that means their position of power can be shaken. Thus, social media. Now you've shaken my opinion or you've shaken this. So now I've got to fight back. And now I've shaken yours. Um, people people want to feel the need. I think, Phil, people want to feel accepted, right? And when I push back against your belief, as I will say, your opinion,
Right.
there was a time growing up when your opinion was yours and you could have it. But now we're in an age where I say your opinion needs to be mine, and your opinion is wrong.
Right.
No, no,
It's
it's
not.
opinion. It's their opinion. So I think in order to understand that, going back to Shayna's question is you have to spend time with that person, walk a mile in their shoes, get to know them, not just creep on them on social media, not just, have a cup of coffee with them, actually
Right.
get to know them. Right. And I'll use Alex for example. A lot of people will call him an asshole. Right. And he's one of the most kindest, truest f- husband and father and person who gives back more than you probably know. But because he does ruffle feathers, they go, oh, he's an asshole.
Right.
Right? Now he'll be proud and say, yeah, I am an asshole, right?
Do you,
But he's not a bad asshole.
do you think time or open minded time?
Um, well, I think time creates open-minded time, right? I mean, I I can go and spend time with somebody who's on death row and be very
Mhm.
close-minded, going in there going, "Oh gosh, this guy's a mass murderer," and and then all of a sudden I can go, "Wow, I learned your story. Well, that was weird, and my gosh, you're bipolar, and you blacked out into your sixth personality and had no idea that you did that."
Right.
So I think that time can create open-mindedness, right? Right. So Alex says, no offense, but if your feelings has been my life motto since '85, I'm pissed off. I'm I've pissed off people. I'm pissed off people are turning that political. Yep. Just like now an American flag has been taken over by a specific political party, where if someone is literally having a flag out there, you kind of know who and what they support. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's yeah, yeah. And again, go back and watch. Don't look up. And it'll kind of flow right into there. But we got up here. We go back to here are some of the people, um, you know, that are just out there doing yucky stuff, right? And has some pretty high ranking officials. Yeah. Uh, whew, human trafficking, underage prostitution, congressman censored by the House for Representative after he admitted to an inappropriate relationship with a 17-year-old page, possession of child pornography, less than 16 years of age, found guilty, 6 counts of sex trafficking. What? Take a
Right.
look. Take a look at this, folks. But again, this is all things that you didn't hear until you tuned in here to 21/6 the net. Again, not trying to, uh, you know, So in case you guys needed to know, hashtag Jelaine Maxwell list became unsealed sometime yesterday, and here's what happened while y'all were distracted by BS. Right? I mean, these folks, this is out there. It's absolutely crazy, right? And again, I think you have to start questioning and saying why. But again, I will go back to you always and somebody's intent. Um, you always follow the money. What book to read? And here's what I'll say about books is take a look at take a look at the author, okay, and say, all right, is this person's life work, and follow the money, and or are they jumping on and say, you know what, I can create a book and write something or put something out there to catch this wave,
Hmm.
and make good money. Now, one person that I'll use for that, right? And this hurts a lot of people's feeling, is Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, a great entertainer, he grabbed hold of a wave and a side of America that he could irritate people and ride that irritation to multi-million dollars, and make a great living, right? Now, does that make everything that he said gospel? A lot of people think so. But again, am I entering this space to make money because I got in at the right time? There's a
Right.
lot of businesses that do that. Or is this really truly a life passion and something,
Yeah.
you know, that I'm legit about, right?
Yeah. If a
So
book is being used as a weapon, then I'm kind of away from it.
yeah, right. So true. A few of these issues would disappear if people would break bread together. Yep, opinions get a bit more ensconced the less contact we have with those people who see things differently. That being said, you aren't going to talk people out of Jesus. I'll entertain the JWs for hours and not convert. Right. Some topics are religious in nature, as far as protecting from blasphemy. A closed mind is a closed mind. True. True, and for whatever reason, we're all trying to convert people to our way of thinking or our belief or whatever, instead of just going out there and living a good life and doing the right thing, right?
So I know that you're quoting the book that you referred. I don't think that a female who I don't think that a female who says, my manager at work touched me. I don't think she has religion. I think she's just telling you what happened. And I think when you approach that conversation like she's trying to convert you to her religion, I think that's very dangerous. And so when your book suggested that in that case that woman would be trying to convert me to her religion, I don't think that's bridge building. I think that's a closed mind.
Okay, so yeah, I'll go with that. But
In the book, it was talking about how people who, mostly African Americans, their view is a religion, and that part about don't listen to them is don't get converted to Phil's religion on how his experience of an African American was.
that's interesting. Then I can't comment on it.
Yeah, we'll get into it next year. We'll get
Gosh,
into it next year.
this is my book.
Woke racism.
Yeah,
That's what the book starts.
gotcha, gotcha. If you have to dig or it, pay attention. If it's thrown in your face, stop and question, either distraction or yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think, um, yeah, you have to question in today's society to bridge civil tension is okay. What's being fed? You know, um, you stop and question that. But if you have to dig for it, pay attention because that means they're trying to hide something, or
Right.
it's trying to get out there, right? Um, so yeah, you know.
All those people though from the email, safe now. That bothers me. That bothers me a lot.
Oh, with that email, all
Yeah,
the people. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's and it's being brushed under the carpet, so to speak. Dirt's
there
still there.
were same visual. There was one like I don't know if it was FBI like or CIA thing, and they were searching workers who were there in their laptops.
Yeah.
And same visual was done and same result. That's disturbing.
Yeah. So do you think do you really think things changed in 2021 or the media just changed focus? Good question.
I don't feel like the media changed their focus where they should have, right? If you want to take it off of the black, white, African Americans and police, Trump, whoever, cool. If you want to take it off of that, then we should have put it on the case, the Maxwell
Yep.
case. We
Yep.
didn't.
Yep.
So, like, okay, we're going to give all the attention to Kyle, which is still going to feed into kind of the racist divide. I don't feel like they adjusted because the whole focus is still racism. And if they did that, that's fine. But we need to put it
Yeah.
on and highlight sickos in America, because I feel like if we are really trying to unify, then if we get behind shining light on sickos in America, I don't care what color you are, right? I don't care what color you are, regardless. But let's team up to get these bad people out of here. And I feel like they're missing that opportunity if they really are trying to unify.
Yeah, I would say I think people changed. And here's why. With everything that has happened, we're paying more attention, right? I'm going to be spending New Year's Eve with I'm going to be spending New Year's Eve with Mike Krejci of the Dream Home Experts. We're going to be doing a live show tonight too, so tune in at some point. We're going to have a little bit of fun, playing some music and just being stupid. But the bottom line is this: is that there are people who are not going to be there, who were invited, who were coming, but because of maybe somebody they know is ill, or one guy, his kids have a little temperature or whatnot, are now staying home. Right. In the past, we'd be like, man, I was there. I had the flu. I showed up,
Right.
Jordan hits 55 with the flu. No, I'm just feeling a little bit under the weather. I'm fine. Let's drink this out and have a good time. And now they're going, you know what? We're going to stay home. We don't want any questions. We're not sure.
Right.
Um, and as far as the racial tension goes, I think a lot of people are doing that as well. I don't I don't think that people are looking cross-eyed at minorities so much,
Right.
without going through a thought process, perhaps of okay, let's take a look at that, right? Um, Alex says, sorry, long winded. The social experiment is interesting to me. Just take entertainment, for example. Think of ratings, views, shares, likes, all that type of stuff is instant validating. That's what keeps them employed. That's what feeds their families. So the more they do, the more they receive from it. The more they do, and the more they feel from it. So why would they stop doing what they were doing because they are benefiting from it?
Right.
They keep going. You think Alex Jones is really that crazy? Yeah, I think he is. But again, he's the guy who is doing it. He's an entertainer, just like
Right.
I am. He's an entertainer, right? And just that would have unified us, but that's not their goal. Just like our health isn't. They don't want unity in health. That's a joke. But, yep. Uh, the yeah, they want us to live in fear. Why do they want us to live? It's easier control. But the news is now a multi billion-dollar, structure, and it all goes by views and likes and things like that. And who can be the first out with the story and this, that, and the third, and so you again have to follow the money. Whose money's behind it? What's happening, right? Nate, good morning. Glad to have you with us, brother. I think everyone is more divided and everyone seems to be walking on eggshells around a lot of topics. A lot of people don't want to discuss the topics in fear of being called racist. Not a lot of open discussions anymore. That might be in your circle. Maybe it's because I co-host this show, but I have a lot of great conversations, and I challenge a lot of people because of what I've learned on this show. And it's like it's like the Civil War. 33% of the population said, "Hey, I'm going to stand up and fight." 33% of the population did nothing, right? And 33% just went along with it,
Right.
right? It was bloody. It was terrible. That's what you're seeing happening now. And what I've learned from this show is if you think that and you don't speak up, you're the 33% who's never going to, you know, you're always going to walk on eggshells the rest of your life.
Right.
It's better to speak up and say, hey, wait a minute, tell me more about this or whatever, right? You know, you have to be able to bridge that tension. If you're walking on eggshells, you're not bridging the tension, you're living in it, right? And you know what? If I lose a friend, because I have an open dialogue about how I feel. Listen, I've called bullshit on Phil. He's called it on me. But you know what? He's still my brother, right? And
Right.
at the end of the day, I gotta step back and go. Well, I still think that's bullshit, but I appreciate it.
Right. Nate, I think, and going back to Kent, what you're saying, Kent asked questions, and Kent allowed me to ask questions. And I know that Kent's asked JR questions, and Kent's asked Joe questions, or Zoe questions, and Kent's asked other people questions. And because he went through that phase of, let me ask, okay, this is what I've concluded after talking to multiple people. This is when I can call bullshit. And because one, I've built that relationship with these people, so they know, one, I'm curious. I'm not just trying to steamroll my opinion without even trying to see, your side. He's gone through that phase. I think sometimes when people are closed off to discussions because you haven't even tried to ask and you're just going to just tell me
Yeah.
what I have and have not experienced. I joke around all the time. When I came to Crystal Lake, I was like, okay, so cornhole is what we play. Panera's the restaurant. Like, I'm asking, okay, so
Right.
we're Dave Matthews, okay. So now at 35, after like 20 years of research, I can joke and say what does and doesn't happen in Crystal Lake. But you have to go through that phase of trying to understand people. If you're just like, nope, the one that I know didn't, so none of you do, that's probably not going to go well.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, if you come to the table with an open mind, trying to have a discussion, say, hey, this is what I don't know and this is why I'm asking, I don't see how a person would get bent out of shape with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they do, holler at me.
Yeah. Highly doubted. Alex says that's about Alex Jones, but it makes him money. The problem is we have sheeps in the world who will just listen and not understand that anything you see is paid for something. It's entertainment, and at this point, no, quote unquote news shows are not news shows anymore. They are studies that say, I ruffle your feathers, you're going to tune in more. A certain group will tune out, but who cares? Their core group will tune in more, and that will increase ratings, which increases money to their family. Jess says, just like the pedophile ring, quote unquote news, there's where the real outrage should be. Exactly. No money in fixing real problems. Agree. We don't live in an either or world now. A lot has to do with our egos, feelings. It's my way or the highway. People that live in a and abundance world are very rare, and those people ruffle feathers. Yeah, it's either or, but it should be both and, right? I should be able to say, and here's an example: the Dixie flag, right? I grew up loving Bo and Luke Duke. It was on the General Lee, and every time as an adult, if I traveled to the South and I saw it, I'd be like, yeah, doodle doo doodle doodle doo 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 doo, right? And I hadn't any idea of what it meant to other folks, other races, other people in the South, perhaps. Some it's Southern pride, but to some that means get out there and start start working the farm, right? Yeah, it should be a both and. Is it okay? Depends on the intent. Also depends on the conversation that we're having. But that could be bad for a lot of people. Could
Right.
mean bad for a lot of people, right? And if we're truly United States, we should only have that one flag, right? So true. Personally, I would want people agreeing I wouldn't want people agreeing just to placate me or avoid mob justice. It's not authentic, but is in fact happening. Oh yeah, all the time. That's what I mean. You be quiet and you let things happen, and you know, I like I like to make people think. Alex will say he pisses people off, but he makes people think. Phil makes people think, right? So, but you've spent time so we can look past discrepancies. You know, you guys' relationship is worth fighting through it. Yeah, I mean, but that's what I mean is you have to take time if we're going to bridge civil tension. You have to first acknowledge that the tension is there. I
Right.
can't say, Phil, you're high. You're screwed up, bro. It ain't that way.
Right.
Listen, come over to Iowa and I'll show you. It's not that way. And he's like, bro,
It is.
it is,
And I'm not
right?
just showing you my religion.
And so the idea is, is it's not this way or the highway. It's both and. Oh my God, I didn't see that.
Right.
You saw that. You know, life is an ink blot. What do you see in there? Right? Phil's perception, Phil's reality is he sees a butterfly. Mine, I see two whales humping. Right?
Something's off if you see
I don't
too.
know which is more beautiful. But he's looking at me going, "You what? There's not two whales humping in there. You're an idiot." No, really. Look, here's the two. I don't see a butterfly, right? So I mean, you gotta. That's civil tension right there, right?
Going back to what you said about the Confederate flag, and there's a picture on my Facebook actually when I was at Coastal Carolina, and obviously South Carolina is known for having Dixie flags all over the place, and there's a lot of people who just told me that it meant Southern pride, blah 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 blah. This is that and the third, and I'm bringing this picture up because it's me in a Confederate flag hat,
Huh?
and I had walked around campus that day with that hat on. All of a sudden, all these people who told me that it only meant Southern pride were telling me what it meant, what it should mean to me, why I shouldn't be wearing that hat. So then my thing is, it's not that it only means that to you. You do know the other side of what that means.
Mm-hmm.
If this person's perspective, if it was a butterfly from my perspective when it happened to me, and it's a butterfly if it happened to you too,
Yeah.
you can't just put it off as Phil's perspective. If it would be wrong if that woman at work said that, hey, her boss touched her, it should be wrong when someone says, I get assaulted at stores.
Yeah.
Still the same butterfly.
Still
Don't
the
act as if. And then when you ask people, hey, would you drive the General Lee through Southside Chicago? Well, no. Well, why not? You're part of the South. You wear it in Crystal Lake. Why wouldn't you wear it to the South Side if it only means Southern pride and there's nothing else tied to it? You
I
know what it means.
listen, I would drive the General Lee anywhere because it's fast, and if you hit a little bump, you jump over cars.
There's a lot of stoplights and stop signs. You better get to 90 first.
Hey, Dan, welcome in. Dan McFadden. How do we separate what's wrong and right from our political views? I think right and left ideology get in the way of morality sometimes. Um, here's here's here- here's the issue. We don't really like talking politics on the station, but here's what I would say: is think for yourself, right? Don't I don't label myself one or the other, right? I will talk to people and say, listen, I've got a lot of conservative views. At the same time, I'm 53 years old, got both ears pierced, tattoos, and you know, and can get a little crazy on the liberal side of things. So the idea is the idea is you know again, we have to think for ourselves, and I can't get mad at you, Dan, for being a Republican.
Right.
You got your MAGA hat on. God bless you. But in my mind, I can go, oh boy, okay. And you love Trump. I still think that guy takes up way too much rent in people's head. But here's the issue. I'm gonna meet you and I'm gonna listen to what you have to say, and I'm not gonna disagree with you, or I guess I can get disagree with you, but I ain't gonna fight with you over ideologies and things like that. But if you look at the way that I voted my whole life, it's there's marks on both sides of the page,
Right.
because I want to be an individual. That's what America's built on, is individualism and hard work and sweat. And you can think differently than me, you can vote differently than me. Doesn't mean that I'm going to hate you.
Right. I go to the Looney Tunes reference where it talks about where Bugs Bunny walks on air and the other guy falls and he doesn't. And he's like, "Well, what about the law of gravity?" And he holds up the sign and says, "I never studied law. If I don't get so
All right.
doesn't apply to me." So
Doesn't
if I don't know this guy is Republican and this is what Republican stands for, and this guy is Democrat and this Republican,
apply.
if I don't, I know what I feel is morally right or wrong, and whoever lines up most with what I feel is morally right, whatever side they are, that's who I'll vote for.
Yeah. And truly, I mean, that's exactly as we roll into 2022. I think, that's what we as a people, we as a country, we as human beings have to do, is go, hey, you know what? I know you're from Europe and you smell. I don't know why Europeans smell weird, but you do. Doesn't mean I'm going to hate you. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to spray you with Axe body spray, right?
Please don't.
But I'm going to try to understand why you smell the way you do. That's it,
Freaky
right?
deaky Dutch.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. How do you tolerate being told? And we just got a couple, and we got to get out of here because we're boiling over. How do you tolerate being told what something should mean to you? The foolishness is to learn on both sides. Yep. Nope. I will fight against, if somebody tries to say I should feel this way or I should think this way, I tend to go the opposite way. It's a push pull.
Mm,
And is the eye roll the equivalent of real world scrolling? A lot of times, they've just dismissed you. Alex says, I can't say I understand Phil and his life that he's gone through, but I am willing to listen to it. But I do know it's usually people who have had judgment and anger geared towards them are the people who will listen to what others have to say. Until you are judged, you cannot understand the grace to give others, and the idea of seek to understand. The matrix still has you. Yeah.
right.
I mean, there's no better words to end than on that one. And that's the truth. As we bridge civil tension, it's that we have to be able to go, all right, you've been through a lot. Yeah, we need to do something. And of course, Leslie says, "Hey, good to see Phil back. Good, great show as always. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Les. Excited for 2022. North Star Foundation is going to be huge.
Appreciate you ignoring the white guy on the show, Leslie."
It's great too, Leslie. I promise.
Leslie, we
So,
love you. I can't.
you and Leslie are going to meet. She's
You
good
are
people for real.
absolutely beautiful. Thank you for tuning in and being part of 21.6 and that.
You
Thanks,
guys are
guys. Shayna says, hey, the next show is going to be at 1 o'clock. It is the Neighborhood Pulse. And then at 5 o'clock, a new show called Two Bald Guys and Mike. It's kind of a reboot from the original Two Bald Guys and a Microphone that started this whole thing off. Coach Papa, Deke, and Mike McKay doing a little bit of work. Two Bald Guys and Mike. And then on Monday at noon, new show. It's Your Move. New episode every Monday at noon. This is a show about just anything and everything with a little bit of music blended in. Great way to kind of have lunch, which is great. Shayna, thank you for all your support and love over 2021. I absolutely adore you. Appreciate that. Jessica says, how to bridge honesty, open-minded willingness. Nicely put, Alex. Thanks, guys. Grateful for what you're doing. Get better, girlfriend. And yeah, look at what the end of 2021 brought. Alex can comment again. I absolutely love you. And happy new year to all you from across the pond, Singapore, into the new year right now. Happy 2022. You're a part of it here, everybody who's listening, as they are ushering in 2022. Let us know how it's shaping up. Everybody, enjoy. Be safe tonight. Tune in 21.6 Net. We're going to have some wild things going on. And there will be some links out there if you want to jump in live. So, Phil, be safe, brother. Love you. Thanks for everything you do and being who you are. And look forward to an exciting 2022 with you.
Love you too, brother. Happy New Year, man. Be safe.
Oh, I should play us out with our music.
There we go. Come on.
Come on, let's get it.